donation made to the UVA Football NIL Collective, a multi-million-dollar donation. I was listening to Lo Davis on Jay James's morning show on WINA today, and Lo Davis, who runs the UVA Collective that's in charge of the name, image, and likeness strategy for football and basketball and the other athletic programs. He said today on the radio how his collective found out about this donation was a brokerage firm sent a wire to the collective completely anonymously, and evidently the collective doesn't even know who made this multi-million-dollar donation. We'll talk about that today. So much to cover. The Board of Visitors is literally meeting right now as we speak in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I assure you their agenda just got a ton more convoluted with this guide service divorce story. A lot we're going to cover on the program, including giving you some ideas of what to do this weekend. We're going to talk on today's program Bronco Mendenhall, the former Virginia football coach, getting hired by Utah State. So much news on today's docket. Judah Wickhauer, I'm going to ask you what story is most intriguing to you in a matter of moments. I am seeing us live, J-Dubs, on YouTube, which is good. I am seeing us live on the I Love CVille group, which is good. I Love CVille Facebook, which is fantastic. If you're able, subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. Judah, which headline intrigued you the most?
Oh, well, I'm interested in why the guide service is deciding to go it alone, and I think it's a bold move. Very interesting.
I think they decided to go at it alone. We know why. They gave a reason. They extended the suspension. The administration at University of Virginia, they said that we're only going to suspend you through the fall semester, and if you take some sensitivity training classes, basically, you can get back in action. And then they extended the suspension through the spring semester. We're going to talk about it today. Like and share the show. Anywhere you are watching the program, like and share the show. Judah, Toy Lift Friday. Those guys are doing the Lord's work over there in the freezing cold, collecting money to buy toys for kids who don't have toys at Christmas. I mean,
no doubt. And we definitely hope they stay safe.
Heroes. Stay safe? What do you mean?
Well, as Tom Powell mentioned when he was on our show the other day, during one of his toy lifts, he could no longer feel his hands. And the medics on the ground basically said, "Look, you got to come down and take a break."
Yeah, and we'll talk duck pin bowling today on the program. You got that duck pin bowling headline? I see the plans for the duck pin bowling alley at Dairy Market. 6 lanes. 6 lanes. We'll talk about that today. Let's rock and roll when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Good Friday afternoon, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille show. We have a wild show lined up for you, ladies and gentlemen. A wild show. The student-led UVA Guide Service organization that gives admissions tours and historical tours at Thomas Jefferson's University. In a guest column in the Cavalier Daily, the student newspaper of UVA, made a shocking announcement. The heads of the guide service have officially divorced themselves from the University of Virginia and its administration. They announced in this guest column that they will give unsanctioned historical tours on Thomas Jefferson's University and highlight historical elements about the university without the oversight of the administration. They will give historical tours based on history and their interpretation of said events, and they will not do it in conjunction with the university anymore. They've done all this despite currently being in timeout, in purgatory, and a suspended state by the administration. My, oh my, what a wild story. We now will have UVA students walking on UVA-owned dirt and UVA-owned land, weaving in and out of UVA buildings and giving their interpretation of history at the University of Virginia, despite the University of Virginia itself telling said students, you cannot do this and you're suspended. This is like when a kid behaves poorly in high school and that kid gets in trouble for fighting or doing drugs or doing some kind of nefarious behavior within the hallways of a high school. The principal then suspends the kid. Then the kid says to the principal, while suspended, I don't care that you're suspending me. I'm still going to go back to school and do exactly what I want. And that's what the guide service is doing right now. We're going to unpack this on the Friday edition of the University of Virginia. On the Friday edition of the I Love CVille show, the University of Virginia giving this program a boatload of content today. How will Jim Ryan respond to this? The Board of Visitors in action literally right now. I assure you this is something they're discussing today, the heavy hitters. How is Bert Ellis responding to this? Bert Ellis and the Jefferson Council. Remember, Bert Ellis, the co-founder of the Jefferson Council with Thomas Neal, who's been on this program. They fought to have the guide service put in timeout in a suspended state. How is Board of Visitors member Bert Ellis responding to this right now? How will Jim Ryan respond to this? We'll talk about this on today's program. And speaking of the University of Virginia, former UVA coach Bronco Mendenhall just got hired by Utah State. 1 year of coaching New Mexico, Bronco Mendenhall. He signs a 6-year contract at Utah State. Remember, this is the same man who took Virginia's football team to prominence, including a 9-5 season in 2019 where they made the Orange Bowl, one of the most prestigious postseason bursts that UVA football has had in what? Generations? And today the Virginia football team is struggling mightily. Some positive news for Virginia football. There was an anonymous donation made to the University of Virginia NIL Collective. It was made by a brokerage firm. It wired money to the NIL Collective, CAV Collective. And this NIL anonymous wire was for many multi-millions, according to a release on virginiasports.com. Cav Futures, the collective. This is a crazy story. I heard the executive director of the Cav Futures NIL collective say today on Jay James's morning show, we woke up, we got a wire from a brokerage firm, it was for multi-millions of dollars, and we have no idea who sent us the money. Good Lord. Crazy times, ladies and gentlemen. We'll also talk duck pin bowling today. We have the plans for the duck pin bowling alley on our computer screen in front of us. The old South and Central, the steakhouse, is going to be converted into a duck pin bowling alley. 6 lanes. That's the intriguing piece here. If you only have 6 lanes, how are you going to manage demand? A question I have on today's program. We'll also talk things to do. We want to give some props to the folks that are at Fashion Square Mall on Toy Lift Friday. We have Samaritans, good Samaritans in our community currently that are braving temperatures in the 20s. With the wind chill, the temperatures are in the teens. They're standing outside, including some people in an elevated bucket truck, 40, 50 feet in the air. And they're doing it all day long. And they're doing it to try to get donation money and toy donations for kids in our community that don't have any presents at Christmas. Imagine you're a kid and you come down the stairs at Christmas and there's no presents under the tree when you have so much faith in Santa Claus bringing presents to you. And then you come down the stairs and there are none. Well, these good Samaritans at the Toy Lift at Fashion Square Mall are doing something about it, and they've been doing something about it for 35 straight years. And Tom Powell and Dave Fafara, Liza Borchis, and the crew at Toy Lift, great for you. Props to you. Well done. Support Toy Lift going on right now at Fashion Square Mall. Judah Wickhauer, studio camera, then a 2-shot. I'm going to ask you which headline is most intriguing to you, why, as you go to the studio camera, then a two-shot. Then we'll give some props to some of our partners on the I Love CVille show. Good God. Tour guides divorcing themselves from the University of Virginia. They're suspended by the administration. They said, screw you, administration. We don't care that we're suspended. We're still going to do what we want to do, and we're going to do it no matter what you have to say. And we're going to do it on your land, in your buildings, on your property, next to your office, and we don't care if you don't like it. That's literally what's happening right now. This is a hell of a story.
No doubt. That's definitely piqued my interest, and I can't say I blame them. They've cited the fact that UVA has given vague reasons for their suspension, and then recently with uncertainty of when the historical tours would be returning. Originally, it was just going to be one semester that they were suspended. Now, the university is saying that they'll bring them back online in the summer of 25, and apparently they thought that was going to cost them too much in terms of institutional knowledge.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible story. We're going to unpack it for you today on the I Love CVille show. Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, Judah, John Vermillion, and Andrew Vermillion at Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, a three-generation business, East High Street, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. Say it loud, say it proud, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. Give them your business and support the family institutions you want to see make it another 60 years. This is one I want to see Charlottesville Sanitary Supply survive for another 60, if not another 120 years, just like our buddies at Mexicali Restaurant, Johnny Ornelas, River Hawkins. Street Art Museum meets cocktail bar, meets music venue, meets Latin fusion cuisine and the old world of beer spot. Mexicali Restaurant, Johnny and River have built something special. I suggest the spicy margarita. I've had it myself. It is a cha-cha in your mouth. It is electric. Judah Wickhauer, studio camera and two-shot. I'm going to set the stage, and then we're going to unpack it. Georgia Gilmer, Logan Wells Claylow, Ray Cadell, Bill McChesney, Deep Throat, John Blair, Kevin Yancey, local TV and local radio. Giddy up and get ready. The UVA Guide Service, a student-led organization. This student-led organization in the crossfire of OG UVA, Old Guard UVA. Some may call it conservative UVA. Some may call it traditional UVA. Some may call it Thomas Jefferson proponent UVA. Some may call it the UVA they want to see not change. This guide service in the crossfire of this group of people, including Bert Ellis on the Board of Visitors, Thomas Neal on the Jefferson Council, they were suspended this summer, and the guide service was not allowed to give admissions tours or historical tours. And the administration put some criteria on the guide service, Judah, before they were allowed to give tours again. One of those criteria was a suspension of the fall semester. Another one of those criteria was sensitivity training or historical training, seminars that the guides had to go under, hours, basically sensitivity training, historical training.
Yeah.
That the administration created a process, a classroom, a learning environment to, some would say, brainwash. Some would say, make sure they're towing the company line with their speech. Mm-hmm. The UVA Guide Service leaders said, we did all that. We did what they told us. And then shockingly, they surprised us by saying, hey, your suspension is not just for the fall semester anymore. Yeah. It's going to be for the spring semester as well. You're not going to be able to give historical tours anymore, at least not until the summer at the absolute earliest. And then, how do the guides respond? Well, they respond this way. We know we're suspended. We know you told us we couldn't do this. We know you own the land. We know you own the buildings. We know we're at a school where you are the administrators and we're the students. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Damn it, we're going to do what we want. And we're going to give the historical tours, and we're going to interpret the history of UVA as we see fit. We're going to tell the folks that take our unsanctioned tours what we think of Thomas Jefferson and what UVA has done wrong historically, and we're going to do it whether you like it or not. That's what these guides are doing. And ladies and gentlemen, and Jude, I'm going to weave you in here in a matter of moments. They have in print in the Cavalier Daily, in a column commentary yesterday, announced their official divorce from the University of Virginia and the administrators that oversee the suspended guide service to student-led organization. This is a bananas story. The University of Virginia over the last 12 to 18 months has created compelling content, incredibly sad content, infuriating content, content rich with fraudulent billing practices and medical chart changing, content that is loaded with pepper spraying students and militarizing the state police, content where the leadership has been questioned,
A lot.
content where the football and basketball programs are hemorrhaging, content where their football program just got a multi-million-dollar NIL donation yesterday,
Anonymously.
through a wire transfer from a nondescript brokerage firm. This is an effing crazy time. What is under the dirt in Albemarle County in the city of Charlottesville? There's dirt. There's gas that's oozing up. Something that you would see in a Marvel series. Some ooze, some gas coming from the ground that's just creating wackadoo behavior. Guide service, put the headlines and start rotating those lower thirds on screen. Judah Wickower, where do you want to begin?
I mean, does it feel like UVA is losing their grip? At least in some areas. This is a strange move for UVA. When it first started, I think we thought there might be some good explanation that maybe the guide service was going a little too woke, making UVA.
That was what was alleged by the traditionalists who spoke out against the guide service.
Yeah, making UVA look bad, and I think there may be some merit to that, but at this point, I think it's becoming more and more murky whether or not that was actually the case or what's really going on. I find it hard to believe that the UVA guide service was so out there that they were. I mean, I find it hard to believe that somebody who's gone through all the training that the guides go through would just be walking around the campus bad-mouthing Thomas Jefferson. But here we are.
A guide service student-led organization. Students that are paying to go to UVA, tens of thousands of dollars every year. Students that have been suspended, an organization that has been suspended and put in timeout for the fall semester, the suspension and timeout extended through the spring semester. An administration that tells the students, you cannot do this. Students then respond to the administration who say, you cannot do this, by saying, we're going to do whatever the heck we want. We're going to give the historical tours whether you like it or not. We're going to interpret the history surrounding UVA the way we want to. We're going to ignore the sensitivity and historical training that you required upon us. And we're going to utilize social media and digital marketing to get admissions or guests or people to sign up for our tours. And we're going to do it on the ground and the dirt that you own, weaving in and out of the buildings that you own, talking about the university that you own. And we're going to start doing it right now. And the University of Virginia is stuck in a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Does the same university who militarized the state police with riot gear and pepper spray utilize another iron-fisted maneuver to squash what students will say, most certainly, is free speech? Will the University of Virginia use iron-fisted strategies to squash or quell or throttle or blow up, bazooka, an organization that says, we've divorced from you, we're not tied to you, this isn't under your purview anymore.
Yeah.
Is this another, not PR nightmare? Is this another foundation for protest and counter-protest and policing said protests to keep in check? Did the university learn from what happened in early May with the pro-Palestine protesters and how they handled that? Will the University of Virginia do anything from a PR standpoint now that this has been in writing in the Cavalier Daily with the column that's going viral? This is a crazy effing story.
No doubt. You really think it goes as far as turning into a protest?
If the University of Virginia tells the student-led volunteer, they are volunteers and not being paid. Mm-hmm. If the University of Virginia says to the volunteer student-led organization, you cannot exercise your rights and give historical tours, even unsanctioned ones, are the tour guides going to just go trot into the sunset without any counterpunch? What they're doing right now with this column in the Cavalier Daily is not just a counterpunch. It's an attack back. They wrote what looks like a 1,000-word column in the Cavalier Daily with their names on it. These guys, and I respect it. This was my beef with the UVA Physicians Group with the Anonymous 128. They did not put their names on it for fear of retribution from higher-ups at University of Virginia. They had fear. They didn't put their names on it.
To be fair, those were people with jobs. They weren't just students who potentially could go to a different college.
These students are paying to go there. They risk suspension or expulsion. Does the University of Virginia utilize the honor code in some capacity to punish these students?
Well, that's also in the news. If they do, how long is it going to take for them to get seen?
Let them know what's in the news about the honor code as you're rotating the divorce. In fact, this divorce lower third is pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. If I do say so myself. Fantastic headline writing right there, Judah Wickhauer. The honor code news.
They are looking to reassess the bylaws of the honor committee in order to hopefully shorten the amount of time it takes to bring an honor case to be seen. I believe right now the average for a case to actually come before the honor committee is something like 79 days.
Absurd.
Yeah.
79 days.
And we saw this with
that's more than half a semester.
Yeah, and
we saw with the pro-Palestine protesters.
Yeah, waiting to get their cases heard through the summer when they were supposed to be getting their diplomas and looking for jobs, and pretty much held in limbo, waiting for the cases to be seen.
I want you guys to understand what has happened in the last year alone at the University of Virginia. Okay, are you ready for this? And I'm literally going to try to do this on the fly off the top of my head. Are you ready for this, Judah? Mm-hmm. Fraternity in Greek life is systematically, did I say the word wrong? You always hold me accountable on this.
What?
Is being dismantled. They are trying to dismantle Greek life at the University of Virginia. In one case, you had one of the deans that oversees accountability with fraternities and sororities interrogating an undergraduate to the point of threatening his expulsion, stripping him of his ROTC scholarship, and scarring and stigmatizing him for life and saying, this will follow you. I can scar you and screw you for life. This student had a secret recording during this interrogation that was leaked and then highlighted by the Jefferson Council. In other cases, the University of Virginia has utilized pledging activities like carrying a pledge pack or doing wall sits and push-ups and sit-ups as such horrible behavior that the fraternities charter was being held was being revoked.
Yeah.
You're seeing this year alone.
And then on top of that, telling them that that an off-campus house can no longer be used by particular students.
Yeah. Telling them that the students at the fraternity cannot then move off grounds and live together in the same house. It's absolutely bananas. That's happened in this calendar year. Also in this calendar year, the pro-Palestine protest on grounds by the chapel, that's peaceful for the entire period, turns unpeaceful because of the use of tents. Because of tents. President Ryan calls in the state police, who acts in militia fashion with riot gear. The state police pepper spray students. Arrests were made against the students and protesters. All those charges eventually dropped. Makes national news. Jim Ryan looks terrible for utilizing the state police as his pawns.
Yeah.
Also in the same calendar year, 128 anonymous doctors at the University of Virginia write a letter, multiple letters, alleging a laundry list of very sketchy behavior, including, most notably, fraudulent billing charges, billing patients for stuff they did not need so the hospital system would make the most money possible, and the changing of medical charts to maintain the rankings or the performance standards that the hospital system is using in its marketing collateral.
Yeah. Nuts.
This is all happening at the same time where people are questioning the honor and the credibility of the CEO of the health system and the dean of admissions of the medical school, challenging Jim Ryan again. This is all happening at the same time that Glenn Youngkin has control of the Board of Visitors with his new appointees. This is all happening at the same time where everyone in the community wants the audit report of the mass murder with the 3 football players released. We're told that's coming out in February.
I was just going to say, how many investigations are currently ongoing that they're not releasing the audits for?
How many reports are not being released? We're told the mass murder report's coming out in February. This is all happening at the same time that Tony Bennett announces his shocking resignation from the men's basketball team a mere few weeks before the season starts. This is all happening at the same time that Tony Elliott's football program is losing more than $1 million per home game. All happening at the same time that Tony Elliott said he will not make any staffing changes on National Signing Day. All happening at the same time that some anonymous donor made a wire transfer from a brokerage firm to CAF Futures, the name, image, likeness collective, that said on the morning show with Jay James today, we have no idea who made this donation, but now with this multi-million-dollar contribution, we can be a major player in the transfer portal. You want to hear something bananas? If you want to get a quarterback to come to your school with football, a legit quarterback to transfer into the University of Virginia, you have to pay him somewhere between $1 million and $1.5 million.
Damn.
A college quarterback that's legitimate to transfer to your school, $1 million to $1.5 million, you have to pay him to get him.
It's crazy.
This is a bananas time. And that was just this calendar year. Just this calendar year alone.
The gift that keeps on giving.
The goose, the golden goose. A content creator's dream. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. How does the Board of Visitors respond? How does Jim Ryan respond? Will the students face sanctions? What will those sanctions look like? And if they do face sanctions, how will they respond to said sanctions?
How will it be spun? I mean, I find it hard to believe that this would happen, but will the university start suspending students on the historical tours?
Do they not have to? If the University of Virginia does nothing, after suspending the group, and the group says, we don't care that we're suspended. We're going to do what we want, and we're going to do it on your property, and we're going to talk about your company, and we're going to do it while walking on your land, in and out of your buildings, and the university does nothing to curb that behavior, is that not the onset of lawlessness?
That may be a little strong.
How is that not the onset of lawlessness? If you get in a fight in high school, or you get caught smoking the chiba, the hippie lettuce.
You're likening.
If you get caught smoking the hippie lettuce in the bathroom at the high school and you get suspended and you're told you can't come back, and then you come back the next day to smoke the chiba on the toilet, in the hallway, in the bathroom, and the principal doesn't do anything about it, that's lawlessness. Ain't this lawlessness?
Are they?
Let us know your thoughts. Why don't you think that's lawlessness?
I mean, technically, what? They're just walking around university grounds.
Interpreting university history as they see fit, despite being told they cannot do that. Isn't that trespassing? Albert Graves, if UVA places a trespassing warrant against the group and the group participants, there will be no tours. If UVA places a trespassing warrant against the group and the group participants, there will be no tours. Mm-hmm. I would bet you a 750 milliliter of some top level scotch. Are we doing a prop bet? Prop bet?
I don't know, on what?
You already have a bottle of scotch that's coming to the studio bar.
I know.
You're losing the Lewis Mountain bet.
No doubt.
On the houses that are coming on market.
Mm-hmm.
Do we call it a wrap and say, bring in the bottle of scotch on Monday? Or do you want to wait it out? You technically have till the end of the year, but let's cut to the chase. Those homes aren't coming on the market now.
Right.
Another prop bet. If a trespassing, as Albert Graves says, warrant is placed against the group and the participants, a no trespassing order. Mm-hmm. Do you think that group will obey the no trespassing order?
It's a lot of ifs.
That's one if.
If the university tells them they can't trespass,
Yeah.
then, I mean...
Will they just listen and do nothing?
It sounds to me like they're ready to take this as far as it needs to go. It sounds like they're ready to stand and fight for this. So, who knows? Maybe it does lead to a protest.
Bingo. That's my prediction.
Could be.
Does it lead to a protest? And can UVA afford another protest?
I was just going to say, maybe they're banking on UVA saying, "Look, we've had enough bad press recently that maybe we rethink our strategy on this." I'm tempted to go on one of these tours and just listen in on what's going on.
We should absolutely do that.
Is it really that bad?
Jeremy Wilson says this. He's been watching the show and commenting lately. Jeremy Wilson, we appreciate your viewership and listenership. If you have hurt feelings because of Thomas Jefferson, then you have personal issues, and ask the question, why are you at UVA to begin with?
That's a good question.
I've asked that question so many times. I think it's a very legitimate comment. If someone has legitimate beef with Thomas Jefferson,
yeah,
and Thomas Jefferson owning slaves, and we know Thomas Jefferson has owned slaves. If someone has legitimate beef with Thomas Jefferson and the fact that he had sexual relations with at least one slave that we know of, why are you choosing to apply and go to the University of Virginia?
Yeah.
No, make it make sense.
I don't think it makes sense. I think if, and this is the if, because I've never actually been on one of these tours. I don't know.
I've been on these tours, but when I took these tours, it was when the tours were about as vanilla as you can find.
So I don't know. I don't know what they're saying. I don't know how inflammatory it is, but I think for some of these people, again, with the caveat that if they're really going that hard and heavy against Thomas Jefferson, then I don't know. Maybe there's some desire to I don't know, justice through understanding. Like
Justice through
I
understanding?
don't know. I mean, we're
What is it,
trying to get into the mindset of people that we don't think like.
Are they trying
Right?
to be a change agent?
Possibly.
If I enroll at the University of Virginia and I spend $80,000 of my mommy and daddy's money to come to school in Charlottesville, I am going to be the change agent and whitewash the history that is Thomas Jefferson or shine a spotlight on what he did to Sally Hemings. I am going to be the person that changes the narrative. Mommy and daddy give me $80,000 a year to go to a university where I have absolute disrespect for the I mean, is that what they're thinking?
It could be. I don't know.
Crazy times.
Yeah.
Bill McChesney, the mayor of McIntyre. I've said it before. A group of visitors from a car club came here several years ago and stayed on the grounds of the business school. After touring both the grounds and Monticello, they expressed their dismay at the disrespectful nature of the oral content of both tours. We've heard that from a lot of people that watch this program. A lot of people that watch the I Love Seville show have reached out to us that have taken this tour, and they've said that in some cases they've been absolutely appalled by what was presented during these tours.
I guess we'll have to wait and find out if they continue along in that vein. If they're just going to go ahead and do what they want. That would be disappointing to me. I kind of like the fact that they're telling UVA to go kick sand. We're going to do what we want.
And part of me actually likes the fact that they're doing that too.
But if that's all just to go around and make the university look bad, badmouth Thomas Jefferson, I believe there's a serious, I don't know, is it a willful lack of understanding for history? Because if you read the articles, they talk about the fact that, these people, these guides, students who are leading these tours are going through like 40 hours of training.
Yeah.
And this isn't any of the university training. This is the guide tours training. And part of that, I believe,
for free.
Part of that, yeah. And part of that, I believe, is internalizing, I don't think is the right word, but taking the history of Thomas Jefferson and the university and relating it to their own experiences. So it's not just, they're not just reading off some script. It's
personal interpretation.
Yeah.
It's personal interpretation. There is not a company, a publicly traded company in the world. There's not a Fortune 500 company in the world. UVA has a $14 billion endowment. There is no company in the world with a $14 billion endowment that would allow its team members to personally interpret the company line. There's not one.
Right.
There's very little companies in Charlottesville, Virginia that are small businesses that are on West Main, High Street, Preston, South Street, Water Street, the downtown mall, the corner, you name it, that would allow their employees to personally interpret their business. Mm-hmm. And this is what's happening here. Students, in some cases teenagers, are personally interpreting the history of the University of Virginia and what is oftentimes the first impression that families have of said university. This is a very good comment from John Blair. John Blair routinely makes this program better. Jerry, keep an eye on the Board of Visitors meeting today. Listen to this, Judah. Only the Board of Visitors can make policy for the university. I don't actually think that trespassing charges could be brought against current students.
I don't think so either.
Rather, the Board of Visitors could adopt a policy to stop the conduct at issue. Is Bert Ellis right now, who is vehemently against the tour guides? Bert Ellis is gaining clout and has a majority on the board, the co-founder of the Jefferson Council. Part of their mission of launching the Jefferson Council is preserving the historical integrity of the university, specifically Thomas Jefferson's reputation.
Yeah.
The Jefferson Council had the tour guides in their crossfire. Bert Ellis has a majority on the board, on the BOV. Is he right now utilizing that majority on the BOV to come up with a plan that drops the proverbial
Hammer?
atomic bomb on the volunteer tour guides?
I don't know, but I hope the tour guides realize the chance they have here, and there's a couple ways they can go. Obviously, they can continue in the vein they've been going. As you said, we've heard from many of our viewers, and that just feels petulant to me. We're going to do what we want.
This is a crazy story.
And we're going to, like I was saying, I understand interpreting history to relate it to your own experiences, but without an understanding of that history being a part of history, it's in the past, it was a different time, it comes across as a little bit childish. And so I'm hoping that they'll, tone things back to start doing what they're supposed to be doing if they're serious about this.
Crazy times. Let's see how Jim Ryan responds. Let's see how the BOV responds. Let's see what the administration does next. Is this another PR conundrum? And speaking of the University of Virginia, if you missed this breaking news, someone wired multi-millions in donations to CAF Futures, the Name, Image, Likeness Collective, yesterday.
It feels a little bit like a statement.
Yeah, you know what the statement is, right?
Fine, I'll do it.
No, the statement is this. I back Tony Elliott, the head coach, who's on the crossfire of getting fired.
You think that's what the statement
I
is?
think this multi-million, you don't do this multi-million NIL anonymous wiring unless you want Tony Elliott to be the guy. Because this is a tailwind for Tony Elliott saving his job. Now Tony Elliott can say, I'm ready to go. Kevin Higgins agrees. The donation was as much about supporting Tony Elliott as it was being competitive with NIL. He says, if I had to guess, it's a local donor with a history on the field at Scott Stadium. I'm very curious of who the donor is.
Yeah.
I'm curious if the donor is Paul Tudor Jones. He made the donation, Paul Tudor Jones, who earned a BA in economics from UVA in 1976. He donated $35 million of his personal funds for the construction of the John Paul Jones Arena. He named the arena in the honor of his father, John Paul Jones, a 1948 graduate of the UVA Law School. I'm curious if it's Paul Tudor Jones who made this donation. Just out of curiosity. I'm curious if the donation was a former standout on the football field. Maybe like a Chris Long. I don't know. Chris is an extremely wealthy guy. At one point, are you so wealthy enough that you don't mind making multi-million-dollar donations via anonymous wire? One of the reasons it may not be Paul Tudor Jones is because when he made the $35 million donation for the basketball arena, he wanted his last name on it. And this is someone who's doing it legitimately anonymously.
Yeah.
Very curious who this is. Unbelievable. And speaking of football, former head coach Bronco Mendenhall today, it was announced that he's the new head football coach at Utah State. And speaking of football, Jason Beck, formerly an assistant coach on the UVA team under Bronco Mendenhall, has been hired as the offensive coordinator at the University of Utah. So Bronco Mendenhall has been hired as the head coach at Utah State. He coached UVA, head coach. Former assistant coach Jason Beck has been hired as the offensive coordinator at Utah. All those guys came to Charlottesville, to UVA from BYU, Brigham Young University. They wanted to get back to Utah.
I guess so.
Congratulations, gentlemen. And boy, are you missed here in Charlottesville. And a couple of last items out of the notebook. I'll close with this. The plans are out for duck pin bowling if you want to get that lower third on screen. 6 lanes, Judah, for duck pin bowling.
I mean, we had to know that
I know it wasn't going to be as big as the bowling alley on Route 29. A 25 or 30 lane epicenter. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But 6 lanes?
We'll have to see.
How is 6 lanes going to handle demand on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night, or on a weekend?
We won't know till it opens.
6 lanes of duck pin bowling at the Old South and Central location. God, what a show. What a show. If you're looking for a weekend activity, I suggest Winter Wonder at the Boar's Head. It is a magical light tour. Mm-hmm. A magical light tour worth every penny. For Judah Wickhauer, I'm Jerry Miller. That's the I Love Seville show. So long.